Hello, everyone. Walk Hill Bethelite here. And tell me if you've noticed a situation kind of similar to this, where you have Jehovah's Witnesses, people who are supposed to imitate Christ, supposed to be Christian, more so Christian than Watchtower's literature pushers, magazine pushers at the door, more than Watchtower's door to door magazine pushers, and more than just free labor to help build kingdom halls and do whatever Watchtower wants. They're supposed to be more Christian than they are free labor. But I recall a situation at the Kingdom Hall that I grew up in. There was a family, there were about 5 boys, and I would sit behind them sometimes at the Kingdom Hall. And even as a little kid, I could kind of notice that the kids, they would have their white shirt on, and the collar in the back would be so dirty, it was almost like it was a yellowish color. All of them had shirts, and for the most part, they were all dirty. And I was young, so I knew that they kind of had this strange smell to them, strange odor to them. But as a, not so much a kid, teenager, younger person, you just like talking to people your age after the meeting. Go hang out in the parking lot, talking about whatever video game you played, whatever sports game was on, talking about playing basketball, different things like that. You're not really that concerned about someone else's collar being that dirty. And I recall there were times when people would find out that they had a talk. Now, remember what I was telling you before. But there were times where people would find out that they had a talk once they got to the hall, and they just so happened to reach into their shirt or jacket pocket and pull out the slip, showing that they were in the ministry school and they had a part. Like literally, I've seen my friends, they get the slip from the brother saying you got to talk. They put it in the jacket pocket, shirt pocket. That bad boy would not come back out until they're at the meeting. Oops, I got to talk. Then I'd ask them, what day is it? It's today. And I'm like, wow, okay, you're going to have. Not only did that happen, but I noticed that one of those young men would pull out a talk, and it wouldn't be his talk, it would be one of his brother's talks. Meaning they were sharing clothes. They were sharing clothes, and after I saw that, I began to pay more attention. And yes, in fact, they were. They would be there for field service, and one of them would have on the same exact thing that their brother had on the day before. Or one of them that was a little bit taller, I recognized that sometimes his sleeve would be like all the way up here. His collar for his shirt. Like it was blatantly obvious that these people were sharing clothes. They didn't have money to buy all 5 of these boys clothes, and I guess they're out in service so much and at the hall so much that those clothes eventually got pretty dirty. And it was blatantly obvious. They'd be sitting there leaning back of the collar, drooping down, and all you would see is just pure dirt. And even if the collar wasn't drooping down in the back so that you could see inside the collar could be pulled up, and there would be a thick ring that goes around the collar of dirt. They were sharing clothes. They're wearing the same clothes to the meeting, But not only that, they were sharing clothes on top of that. And the only thing people cared about was how many hours they were putting out, in service, passing out magazines, pushing magazines, basically. Who was pioneering, who got what part in the meeting. And, nobody cared about the families and their financial situations, even though they were obvious. I hung out over their house and spent the night. Their family was cool. Their mom made a dinner, and it was delicious. But that night, I found out that not only were they sharing shirts, not only were they sharing suit jackets, not only were they sharing their clothes, they don't all have their own clothes, they're sharing clothes, they're sharing underwear. They're wearing each other's underwear. One of them, and they do it like it's just normal. One of them put on a pair of underwear, and they're like, "Did you just had this on yesterday?" And like, I'm not wearing this because you just had this on yesterday. Who wore that pair? I don't know who wore. Well, give me that pair because I'd rather wear what I don't want to wear the pairs you just had on yesterday. Like, they're all sharing the same clothes, and it was so unnecessary because you got a whole congregation full of people who could have helped. The congregation, instead of just focusing everything on Watchtower, it's idolatry. They idolize Watchtower. They could have helped these people out. Just give them a few more shirts. Give them some clothes for the kids. You don't have to necessarily give them money. You can just give them some shirts for the kids. Give them some underwear. With Jehovah's Witnesses, people will see something obvious and not do a thing. That is exactly why it is so easy for those people to shun. When someone is, quote unquote, disfellowshipped or shunned, it's so easy for them to turn their back on people because they never really cared about people that much to begin with. It's all about prominence. Who has what talk? Who raised their hand and gave the best comment? Who's going to Bethel? Who's pioneering? What this sister looks like, what that brother looks like. That's all they care about, so that when you have somebody in the congregation, and I've seen this in multiple congregations, maybe not necessarily to that extent, but you have situations in congregations where you see a person with a need. You see the need, and nobody does nothing. Nobody cares. Blatantly obvious. Nobody cares. Jehovah's Witnesses are more idolatrous, idolizing Watchtower, and concerned about moving up in an organization, not concerned about being Christian, not concerned about people in the congregation. That's why Jehovah's Witnesses, there are people who, when they get sick, when something happens, they can count on one hand how many times or how many people came by to come visit them or see them. Many times nobody comes by to come see them when something goes on. Come to help them. Come to go get them some groceries because they were sick. Many times that doesn't happen. And then that's why the one time it does, the Jehovah's Witnesses is so impressed. But normally, those sorts of things don't happen because they don't have that love that was talked about. When they think about love, the only thing they think about is passing out watchtowers from door to door and shunning people. Because to them, shunning people is loving. If you want to show love, give out magazines and shun people. They used to hand out magazines to homeless people, people who were obviously in need, people who obviously had major issues. They'd be giving them a Watchtower. They didn't care. They giving them a Watchtower. That's overall. That's not every single individual. But comment down below. Let me know your situation. Have you ever seen in a Kingdom Hall a person with an obvious need, blatantly obvious need? Everybody saw it. Nobody did nothing. They went to the hall, got their little comment or two in. Now that they got their comment and they don't have to worry about being shunned for not commenting, after that meeting was over, they was out. That cult is no better than any other church. They're all the same. Comment down below. X Wall Kill Bethelite, signing out.